The restaurant buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses as Maya hurried from table to table, balancing trays with tired hands. She smiled at every customer, even though her feet ached. Then a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Excuse me, this glass has a smudge." Maya turned to see a woman in a red dress glaring at her. The woman was stunning, confident, and clearly used to being obeyed. Beside her sat a man in a black suit, quiet and polite but clearly wealthy. Maya apologized quickly and replaced the glass, but the woman wasn't finished. "Maybe next time you can try doing your job properly," she said loud enough for others to hear. Maya's cheeks flushed, but she bit her tongue. The man looked embarrassed but said nothing when the woman snapped. "Again, that's it, I'm reporting you." Maya's manager appeared. The woman leaned close to him, whispering something, and within minutes Maya was fired. She stood in shock, clutching her apron as the woman smirked and said, "Maybe this will teach you respect." The man looked uneasy but didn't interfere. Maya walked out that night with tears freezing on her cheeks and no idea how she'd pay rent. The next morning she got a call from a friend who worked at a corporate office. They needed a temporary assistant, immediately desperate for help. Maya accepted without asking questions. On her first day, she stepped out of the elevator into a bright office and froze. Sitting at the corner desk was the same man from last night, only now he wasn't a quiet diner customer. He was the CEO, Daniel Hart. His eyes widened in disbelief when he saw her, and before he could speak, a familiar voice echoed from behind him. "Daniel, darling, you're early." The woman in red walked in, holding coffee. Maya felt her breath catch as Daniel turned to face both of them, his voice calm but sharp. "Maya, meet your new supervisor," he said. "She's the one who fired you last night." Maya stood frozen, unsure if she'd heard him right. Daniel's calm tone didn't match. The tension building in the room. The woman in red, named Vanessa, turned sharply, her perfect smile faltering. "You're joking, right, Daniel? You can't be serious." Daniel looked at her, then at Maya and said, "I don't joke about work." Vanessa laughed, tightly trying to recover. "Well, then she should probably start looking for another job because I'm not working with her." Daniel leaned back in his chair, eyes cool and steady. "That's unfortunate because I wasn't asking you." The silence was sharp, enough to cut. Maya wanted to disappear, but Daniel's gaze held her still. Vanessa glared at her as if she were the reason the ground had shifted under her heels. Maya spoke quietly. "I can leave if this is causing trouble." Daniel shook his head firmly. "No, you stay. She's the new assistant project manager reporting directly to me." Vanessa's face paled. "Wait, what?" Daniel turned to her. "You humiliated a woman in public over a glass of water. That told me everything I needed to know about your character." He stood, his tone calm but final. "I don't keep people who mistake cruelty for class." Vanessa stormed out, heels echoing across the floor as the door slammed shut. Maya stood speechless, clutching her folder. Daniel exhaled and said, "I owe you an apology. I should have spoken up that night, I didn't, and that makes me just as wrong." She met his eyes, unsure what to say. He continued, "My mother built this company with one rule: never forget where you started. I did, and you reminded me." She smiled faintly. "Maybe everyone deserves a second chance." He looked at her, a small smile forming. "Maybe that's what this is for both of us." Vanessa's name vanished from the company within a week. Daniel didn't speak about her again, and Maya focused on proving she deserved the position, not because of pity but because of skill. Every morning she arrived early, organizing files, setting up meetings, and learning how the business worked. The staff quickly noticed her discipline and kindness. People who once ignored her at the diner now looked to her for guidance. Daniel kept his distance professionally, but there was a quiet respect in how he treated her. He started asking for her opinion in meetings, and she gave honest answers, not what he wanted to. Here one afternoon he said, "I didn't realize how blind I was to the way people around me acted." Maya smiled slightly. "Sometimes power makes people forget how they got it." Daniel nodded. "You're reminding me every day why that can't happen again." Weeks later, during a board meeting, Maya presented a new employee fairness policy, a system ensuring no worker could be fired without investigation. The directors were impressed. Daniel leaned forward and said, "This idea was hers." She learned it from experience. The board approved it unanimously, and by evening the staff celebrated downstairs. Vanessa's old friends avoided Maya's eyes while others raised their glasses to her success. After everyone left, Daniel found her by the window watching the city. "Lights," he said. "You changed this place faster than I ever did," she replied quietly. "No, I just made sure people get the respect they deserve." He smiled. "I think you're teaching me that lesson too." She looked at him, then said, "Maybe that's how life works. The people we look down on are often the ones who lift us up." He nodded, a genuine warmth in his eyes, and said, "Then I'm glad I finally looked up." Vanessa had vanished, but her story followed Maya everywhere. Some whispered that Maya had stolen her place, others said Daniel had fallen for her, which made her even more determined to prove them wrong. She worked harder than anyone, learning every detail of the company's operations, until people stopped seeing her as the girl from the restaurant and started seeing her as the woman who got things done. Daniel watched from a distance, proud of her quiet strength. He'd built his empire on numbers and contracts, but now he was learning the power of people. One afternoon he found her in the conference room, still working long after everyone had gone home. He said, "You remind me of how my mother used to lead this company. Never loud, never cruel, but impossible to ignore." Maya smiled softly, then looked up and said, "Maybe I'm just trying to build something no one can take away again." He nodded. "That's exactly the kind of person I want beside me, not behind me." Months later, the company launched a major charity program helping women who had lost their jobs. "Start over." Daniel asked Maya to lead it, and she accepted without hesitation. Reporters praised her rise from waitress to corporate leader, but she didn't care about headlines. She cared about impact. On the day of the first event, she stood on stage speaking to hundreds of women, saying, "I was fired for a mistake that wasn't mine, but it led me here, so maybe failure isn't the end. Maybe it's the push we need to find our beginning." When she stepped down from the stage, Daniel was waiting near the stairs. He said, "You didn't just become part of this company, Maya, you changed its heart." She looked at him, her voice calm and certain. "Then let's make sure it never forgets how respect should feel. If this story made you smile, share it with someone who needs a reminder that accidents can turn into beautiful beginnings."